Welcome to Mommy Mondays with Jem Pinto and Denisha Vargas. I'm very excited for today's episode. It's a very special one because we also have a very, very special guest. We are in a time that I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that there's been something shaken up in your soul. Something inside of you is just calling for something. And what we're noticing is that we're in a place where mental health um, is at a heightened awareness for a lot of people because we're starting to see that a lot of people have been struggling with mental health, whether they're rich, whether they're poor, it doesn't matter. This is something that has been just a worldwide thing. And because of that, and because of this awakening that has been happening, so many people are searching for healing. And we used to always look up to these celebrities and these high profile people on television or very popular people. And it seems as if for a long time, a lot of people search for them for like, I guess, saving, or I don't know what exactly to call it, right? But they depended on them in a lot of ways emotionally. However, the veil has just been lifted and we're seeing that these are not the people that we thought they were, because they're also just human like you, going through bullshit just like every other person does, and they're also searching for healing. And what I have noticed is that we've been finding this healing within each other, within our communities. We've been conjuring up kind of this energy where it's just like drawing ourselves to each other. And what I love is that the people that are finding their calling and their healing and are now healing themselves, and in turn healing the people around them, healing their communities, are just like your girl next door, your homegirl next door that you probably would have never thought is that person that's going to bring you into your purpose and into your healing. And that just brings me now to introduce our next guest. Naomi and I met randomly in Vegas through a mutual friend. But like I said, there has been a conjuring of energy, and our energies came together for that time, and we connected in a way where we stayed connected. And as time has gone, I have realized why. And I love those kind of breakthroughs that you have when you meet people and then it all comes together. The same thing with Denisha. I was just Denisha's dance teacher for years, and that was it. And then all of a sudden we become mothers and we connect on a whole nother level. That our purpose when we met the first time was to come full circle into this. So healing comes in many, many different forms. And what we're going to discuss today is, why are people searching for healing? How are people healing? And if there is something maybe in you that maybe you're a healer and you don't even know it, how can you tap into that to find that purpose within you? Because a lot of us have it and don't even know it. So y'all can take it away from here, girls.
Okay, well, I do want to say that it's everything always happens for a reason. And it's really crazy to me that Jen and Naomi met like super random in Vegas, like so far, right? And then Naomi and I are both from the Bronx. I believe we have like similar childhood, or like being raised in a similar way, more or less. And I decided, honestly, I didn't like, she does breath work. And for me, that opened up a whole portal of healing. Like the first time that I went to her one-on-one session, and it was over Zoom. The first thing she said to me made me cry instantly. And that healed like a whole layer of just energy that was just stuck. And all she said to me was like, "Ooh," she's like, when you were younger, nobody let you talk, like nobody let you speak." And that, just those words alone were so healing. It was amazing. So I do think, like how Jen is saying, we meet these people and we don't realize that the power is in the girl next door. the power is in the next door neighbor that you see every day, or you might see once in a while, or that is from your community. And because we're always so skeptical about the wrong things,
Yes.
we don't give these people a try. And I think that's very strange of us, because we will buy all these celebrities things. We would buy their albums, we would go to their concerts, we will go, and then we want them to be our voice. But in reality, these people have zero access to the knowledge that we have here as a community.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important to listen to the experience of others if you're feeling a certain way, because the healing that happens with people that you have a similar life with, or that had a similar life like you, and now are on a different level, and the way that they're trying to help you, like help guide you there, is so important. And so I don't know if Naomi wants to talk. I didn't want to say like breathwork because I wanted her to say it, but it was like the only word out there. But I want Naomi to speak on how it's been like helping people in her own community, and the spectacleism that comes with that. I don't think that's the right word, but yeah, I get what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me, ladies. I appreciate it. And I think everything is definitely in divine timing. Nothing is ever a coincidence. And I think the more you dive into this healing spiritual journey, you start really like solidifying that knowing, right? Nothing is a coincidence. Everything is orchestrated in the perfect timing. Even the things that are bad for us, right? That we don't really favor in our lives. It happened at the time that it needed to happen, period. It's just part of the game, the lesson, why we're here. And this is really a school. So I think from the last time that we spoke until now, so much has happened. So much. It's been a freaking journey. I always say that I thank God every day for my sense of humor, because I wouldn't even understand how I would have processed so much information, and just like all my gifts coming online, and just like harnessing them and understanding the assignment. And I have moments where, well, not no more, but when it first started, where I was doubtful, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And like, what do you mean I could do this? And how is this possible? And then I started reading energy, and everything came online for me very, very fast. And, understand that I'm Dominican. I'm from, when I chose this life, I threw myself in the boondocks, for real, like I threw myself, like the challenge that I gave myself in this journey was really like, I'm gonna throw you in the Bronx. I'm gonna make you Dominican. I'm gonna, and you're gonna be like this, and you're gonna talk like this, and you're gonna meet these people. And it's been a journey, right, of like unlearning things and just really understanding who I am, aside from this physical body, aside from the mother I come from, the culture I come from. Like I understand myself multidimensionally. And that has been a journey. But I could really just say that this whole journey started for me since I landed, since I consciously got here. It's just been transmutation, and it's been transformation after transformation. And I think I've been healing people since a child. And I go back into like my dynamics with friends in school. I was always like popular, friendly, very outgoing, but the friends that I made were always the quiet, the ones that were withdrawn, always. So my best friends that I could like, my best friend of all times right now, the way we met, she was withdrawn in the classroom, very quiet, head down all the time. So through this journey, I've had to sit with myself and just, because I had to go through a process of understanding who I am. I started realizing, as my guides started coming on and telling me what I'm here to do, I had to really sit down and realize like, okay, yeah, you guys are not lying. This is a reality. I've been doing this shit unconsciously since I got here. Yeah. So I say this to say that healing doesn't even have to be to the heights of where I'm at now, right? And I'll get into that more. But we all, if you're really a healer, if you're meant to, if you came here to help heal and to impact humanity, it starts early. And it starts with your personality. I believe it starts with your experiences. You know, when you look at the type of child that you were, it says a lot about if you're a healer or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I could go back 10, 11. I always stood up for people. I fought for people. I understood emotions. And I'm telling you, my best friends that I've made, they were just quiet people. I never chilled and hung out with the popular kids, and I could have.
Right.
I could have always sat at the table with the popular kids, the it, you know, the it people, right? Mm-hmm. My friends were literally like the people that were not seen, and I gravitated towards them. And now I understand why. It's the healing in me. I came to do that.
When
So to answer, yeah, cut me off because there's so much I could say that I need, you know.
what do you think was your like, you know, we live our lives, and then I always see it as little like they're just like chapters, right? Like these pivotal moments in our lives that shift us into our, you know, our higher level of awakening and awareness and everything, right? But then there comes that one. There's just this one that does like this pop where it bursts this door open. And then nothing is ever the same from that point. And then now is when all those pieces, those chapters all actually come together like a real life movie, like a real life book, and you're able to see it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're able to say, I got it. When was that moment for you?
That moment for me was when I started my breathwork journey. I became a facilitator, not really trying to be a facilitator. What led me to breathwork was for 2 years, I was battling, you know, what I called anxiety. And it was very heavy. And it was for the first time in my, well, not the first time, let me not say this, because the thing is you ignore things that happened in the past. I was battling energetic shit when I was with my son's father, but I didn't know to call it that, right? I thought it was postpartum, which it was. I've been told that it was a combination of both, but postpartum is also spiritual energy work, so it's all correlated.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, and I went through some dark shit when I was with my son's father, to the point that I had a friend. So I never been a person that ever read my cards. Like, I think in my lifetime, I probably did that shit 3-4 times, very sporadically, broken down with friends, never chased those things, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a friend tell me one day, like, listen, yo, like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you, but I'm going to take you to this lady. And I'm just like, oh, whatever. I was so done and out. And this is at this point, I'm like 24 years old. I've had my son like 2 years prior to that. And she had took me to this lady. And the point is, you know, I'm not really believing of any of that shit. You know, like you said, when you don't know and you don't believe, you just don't know, don't believe, you just don't fucking know, right? Yeah. So this lady, I walk in and she's over here holding her neck. She's over here talking about that I knocked her neck down. You already know. So I'm just like, oh my God, these Dominicans with their bullshit. You know, that was just really my thought. But for whatever reason, this lady went to work on me. And I remember that all she did was candle work. I'm still like, this shit is crazy. Like, I don't know what the fuck. This lady just wants my money, whatever. But I still gave it to her because I was so, understand, I'm a child. I'm 24 years old. I had just graduated college not so long ago and had a baby right after, you know? Yeah. I'm just done, distraught. And I'm like, whatever, something has to give. And also, spirit leads me into things when I need to heal or need to find solutions, which I didn't know that at that time like that. So for whatever reason, you know, she healed me. Like whatever I was feeling went away, but I still charged it to, oh, that was just a coincidence. I was going through postpartum. I never coined it. To me, she stole my money. To me, you know, those people. I never really, you know, believed. Fast forward. So that was the first like crazy moment in my life. But I think as a kid that I was consciously, I didn't really grasp what it was because I didn't want to believe what it was. Fast forward, when I get to doing breath work, the reason I ended up doing breath work, it was for me. And it just so happened that I had met Curtis on social media. And then I became friends with him and I had a conversation with him and he was just like, yeah, I'm getting ready for my first ever like training or whatever. And I just saw it as, I want to go there because he said it was in Utah. And it was something bigger than me. I was so down and out. And what was happening to me was that which now I know that now, I had somebody do voodoo on me. Mm. Yeah. And, you know, back to I don't really want to, I never really wanted to believe that shit, you know? But at that point, I had to sit with myself and realize that for 2 years, I was battling something that was heavy. And it was heavy on my left boob. And my boob was heavy all the time. And I'm like, yo, you know, what the fuck? But I also had an inner knowing that like something had to give. Like I knew that it was going to be over. You know, my higher self, it just knew. So the opportunity came. Curtis comes. I already had done breathwork a few times from home, but I never even really did it right. Like I never really took him serious like that. Once again, I never really wanted to believe that all of this was really real. However, I always knew that there was something playing it close with me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And because I wasn't in a community or around people that really understood, other than Dominican, you know, brujeria and things of that nature, I never spoke about it like that. I just knew that whatever was with me guided me. And I knew that through different incidents that I had in my life that were just like supernatural. That I'm like, nah, this shit is crazy, you know? Mm-hmm. And I just started realizing that what was working for me in life was just working for me, right? And the way I went about things, the way I did things, the decisions I was making, you know, like the way I make money, things like that. I just knew that shit just, I had my own process of doing things basically. So I just sat on that. That's it, right? So I wasn't, and I've always said I was spiritual, right? And that was just because religion and me, it doesn't make sense, right? To a degree. I never got it. I didn't understand why I had to confess to a pastor. That's what did it for me at 14 years old. So I completely canceled the whole religion thing. I fucking made peace with God. I said, God, you know, I just know you're real, but this shit is not it. And I'm sorry. And I'm just going to confess to you, but I ain't confessing to this dude right here because it didn't resonate with me why this guy, who appointed you? Who left you in charge, dude? Literally, that was my thought at 14 years old. So I've had a heavy level, a huge level of discernment from a very young age. Long story short, I lead to breathwork because of this situation. And I didn't even know that breathwork was even going to solve it. I just wanted to get away, bro. I just wanted to go to Utah. I saw this shit as a spiritual retreat. I said, why not? I got on that plane by myself. I got there. It was the first session that I had in Utah that revealed shit to me that I was just like, whoa. So the first thing that happened was 2 years prior to this, to Utah, I had my friend pass away next to me. And I never really had, you know, closure. It happened so, you know, drastically, but I also knew that shit wasn't a coincidence. Like I used to ask myself, what the fuck are the odds that I left my house that day because my mom was sick to buy my mom food and I just meet with him in the corner. And it was just the strangest scenario. The way it went down, it was unbelievable, right? So now I have this session, and in this session, he comes up in my breathwork session and he runs down to me the whole scenario of him passing, of me being the last voice that he heard. He thanked me for being there. He said, yo, sis, I fight for you. He goes, yo, I fight for you. He's like, I fight for you and thank you. He kept thanking me. He's like, yo, it's not a coincidence. None of it was a coincidence. Thank you so much. Thanks to you, I elevated. Wow. So understand that this is my whole catapult into understanding spirituality to the degrees that I always knew innerly, but I didn't want to really acknowledge, right? Mm-hmm. So I was never scared when that happened because that's my boy. I'm like, what? Like I had closure and it came with so much love, but he left me confused, right? All I knew was that from that session, the shit that I had on my chest, it was gone. Literally, I got up from that session and I will never forget. I'm telling you, my sense of humor gets me through all this shit. I said to myself, oh, it's lit. I'm back. Let's go. I literally said that because I wasn't myself for 2 years. I was really off. I really lost a lot of weight. I didn't understand what was happening to me. And that session removed that. So when I got up from that session, that's when I said, all right, it's on. Everything is energy. Like, that's it. I'm not bugging. This shit is not what the fuck these people think it is. And that's when I said, hell yeah, I'm gonna be a teacher. There's no fucking way. There's no way, because I didn't just fucking do a breathwork session just to, feel better, right? And on a very general consensus, I was battling some shit. And in that one entire session, I understood that the people that pass don't pass. I had closure. I mean, they transition, right? So I had closure on understanding that we transition. And then I started understanding that whatever the fuck I was battling was truly energy. And I understood that shit wholeheartedly. And then I understood the body, and I started understanding, like, I did this shit. I did this shit breathing. Like, I really did this shit breathing. It was unbelievable to me. And I said, there's no way on earth that I cannot be a teacher. That was the catalyst in the story, right? Even so, it was still not fully, because then what happened after that, when now I come back to the States, from my first certification to the second certification, now I'm doing breath work and I'm communicating with a higher source, and where they're telling me I'm a medium. And they're telling me all this shit, you're a medium, you're a channel. They told me my purpose. They told me why I came here. I started learning that I came here to help raise consciousness. It was a lot. I have a guide. She's a she. Her name is Maria. She really just started coming to me and showing herself through breath work, and she's golden energy. And she, I was never fearful of what was coming up, because you feel the energy of these things, right? And she came with the utmost love, and I was able to see her energy. At that point, I was able to see energies, and I understood the different colors of energy. So when I saw that she was golden, I said, whoa, like, okay, wow, you're with me, that's great. And the way she started coming up was just showing me the different scenarios of my life that she was at. And one of the ones that really stood out was that she showed me that she was at my labor. And my labor with my son was a very interesting story. Like, my mom passed out while I was giving birth. And I knew that when my mom passed out while I was giving birth, which was me just like when I went straight into pushing my son out, her eyes rolled back and she fell back. And I thought she died. After my whole labor scenario happened, I knew, my inner standing just knew that shit was energetic. I just didn't know how, because I didn't understand all of this to that degree at 22 giving birth, right? But I knew that it was energetic. And what I thought was that it was the force and the energy of my son coming out that did that to her. That's what I interpreted. So when she started, presenting herself and, showing me how I've had her since I was born. She showed me different scenarios of me giving birth, and I was able to see why my mom passed out, which is just, my mom also has mediumistic skills and she ignores it, but she was able to pick up her energy. She tapped her in a sense, and she passed out. Like, she just rolled back, and that was that. So when that started happening, that's when my whole universe shifted, because I started learning my purpose. I started seeing my past lives. They started showing me all of that so that it can all make sense, right? So that I can understand why I'm here. And they started showing me scenarios of when I was younger, how I was affecting people around me. And I know that I'm here 100% to help raise consciousness. I also volunteered to come here. And in my past life, I was like literally murdered because I didn't want to give up the light. And to a degree, I've earned the guide that I have now. And we're here for that. So she was able to show me through different courses, breathwork sessions, what she's here to do and why I got activated now. And if you want to just even go into these conspiracies, right, that people want to just discharge as conspiracies, I got activated on February 2nd, 2022.
Wow, 222.
Yeah. And, prior to that, she was
you cut off now.
I remember she's telling me I'm a medium, and she's telling me, listen, she was already telling me that I was going to do readings, and she was telling me that she has a very specific way of healing. And I had to really get out of my way to just allow her to show me. And she pointed me to a good friend that's a medium, and she was like, you need to go to Candace. Mm-hmm. I always do lives with Candace, by the way. She said, you need to go to Candace. She favored Candace, which Candace was someone that I met in Utah, but the way we met was very interesting. She was placed in my life for a reason. She just found the safest way to introduce me to my my purpose and how she's here to assist me. And we tag team through many lifetimes. I've always had her. I've been on the other side of the veil, serving as her guide at times. And we just take turns, literally. Mm-hmm. And I was able to learn that in learning my past lives and all that good stuff. The point is, that's what did it. That's what fully did it. She guided me to Candace, and Candace made the initial introduction. And I was able to meet and connect with my guide by going to her dimension where she resides. And she resides in a very beautiful, where she resides, it's mountains, trees, it's a beautiful ocean kind of area, fields of lavender, fields of sunflower. She's goddess energy, she's ancient energy. So she's old, she's infinite knowledge. And that's what I come from. That's where my soul comes from. That's where my spirit comes from. And I've been a healer in all of my lifetime.
What would you say to people? Because I know I had the experience, I know Denisha had this experience where when you start tapping into this deep level of consciousness within yourself, and these things start happening and you start connecting, as we call it, right? And you start hearing these messages and these downloads. As you said before in the beginning, you can feel like you're crazy. You can feel like you are just making all of this up and this is just absurd and you need to just chill out, type of thing. What kind of things did you do to keep you in alignment? We have the initial kind of feeling within that we just know this is right. The part that comes to doubt and the fear is just our programming from society of thinking that this is just absolutely just ridiculous and it doesn't exist. So how were you able to undo that conditioning so you could stay walking in your path?
Listen, the one of the craziest things with this journey is moment of doubt, right? One, I had Candace. Candace is an amazing medium, and the moments that I was doubtful, and I'm like, yo, Candace, what the fuck? Is this really real? Like, what? She was always there, which I appreciate. Let me tell you why I appreciate Candace. Because she's in the West Coast. She's from Cali. She's a Chicana. She's Mexican. And she's very different from what I came from, right? So she comes from a world in where that's accepted, that's honored, that's her upbringing, right? So I had someone like that in my corner to really consistently remind me, no, that's normal. No, that's okay. Yes, this is how it works, That was one. Two, when I had doubts. So the first thing that really stamped it for me is the following. When I was initially introduced to her, that was the formal introduction, but remember, she was already speaking to me. So what happened in the formal introduction was that because the introduction was for me to meet my gatekeeper, right? Because I already knew, remember, she was already explaining to me that I'm a medium. So when I went through the process of meeting my gatekeeper, I just didn't know that she was going to be my gatekeeper. So in the introduction, when she came through, I already knew her, So that was the first level of, oh, wow. And it came with so much love. There was no room for me to even doubt it because it was an overwhelming amount of love and an overwhelming amount of, I love you. It was almost like, it was remembrance. Wow. So that was the first thing, right? It didn't, from that introduction, I was ecstatic to have connected. And my soul just knew that it was a memory. It was like, yo, like, oh my God, like, and I miss you energy. And it wasn't only from her, it was from me too. I even teared, right? So that's how I knew there was no doubt there. It was just some powerful shit. That's that. Then when that introduction was made, then now I was able to now speak to her I was able to connect with her via meditation. I started realizing that prior to connecting to her to that degree, my meditation prior to that was already very powerful in where I was embodying the golden light. And I was able to always process it from my crown down into my body and recharge my body with it. This is without me even connecting with her. So when I started connecting with her already through meditation, where we were really having conversation back and forth, it clicked to me like, yo, you've been here already. You've been here this whole time. It's just that now she gave me things in pieces so that I don't freak out. You get it? And which your guides do that. They do it in pieces, especially when they're here to work with you and they're here for your best interest. They give you this process in layman terms because they understand that the human body could only withhold so much energy, right? As the level of comprehension that we have in this physical body. So they spoon feed you. So she spoon fed me. So through meditation prior to that, I was doing shit that I didn't fucking know where it was coming from, but I trusted it, which was embodying that light. And I knew the things that I would randomly just learn just from just doing it, right? Without a thought. I wasn't even communicating. It was just physical things. When I would go and Google them, it was a real thing. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, oh, okay, this embodying the white light. Okay, who the fuck told me to do that? Okay, that's great. Wow, I feel great when I do this shit. And I definitely started meditating differently. And now I'm liking meditation at that point. So now when she comes online and I'm able to speak to her back and forth in conversation, the first thing that happens when you tap into your channelist, into your mediumistic abilities.
Well, you have to bring that back, girl.
These things up in your mind, and that you always think that you're saying.
Go back, because it cut off like the part right there when you were saying when you.
Yeah. So everyone is a channel. The truth is, everyone is a channel. Literally, we all have that ability. It's just training, right? And it's just sitting down and tapping into your shit and asking, and you will receive, kind of thing, right? Yeah. So when you first start literally now asking and establishing dialogue, right, in your internal, right, through meditation, it's very easy for you to think that the answers that you're getting back is you sabotaging it and just talking back to yourself. Very easy. It is the normal thing in the process of like tapping into your mediumistic skills, right? What completely did it for me, that I said, oh, nah, it's on. I said, yeah, I'm really talking to her. No, this is it. I asked her, as soon as she came online, the first thing that I was compelled to ask her is, okay, so if you're my gatekeeper and I'm here to help people heal and raise consciousness, like, how do I protect myself, energetically? And this is how I knew already that it was a real thing. She gave me a whole entire bath. And this was through meditation. And it was literally ingredient after ingredient after ingredients that I was completely unaware of. I would have never, there was no recollection in the back of my mind on ever putting these things together. And they were things in my own home. And she was showing me through, my inner conscious, like my inner dialogue. And then she was giving me visuals of my things that were in my cabinet.
Wow.
So now she gives me this bath, and I'm just like, I get up, I get up from my meditation, and I'm like, I Google all of that shit. Every ingredient that she gave me in that bath has his history and so much information on healing properties and ancient information. The Egyptians were using these ingredients literally to raise their frequencies. And I definitely, from that moment on, understood that I had a clear channel to something, and I was really talking to her. Because the minute she came on, she geared me up. She gave me what I needed to do the work. That was the one thing. Then February 2nd, because I already knew that I was having dialogue with her, and she's already teaching me how to arm my house up, everything is natural ingredients. And she's explaining to me how all these things are charged to a certain frequency on earth. She's an herbalist. She's a very big herbalist. So when I work with my clients, we work a lot with herbs and a lot of journaling, right? So she's giving me, before I even start giving this and working with my clients, she's giving me all of this. And this is new information for me. So that's when I knew. And there was no way for me to think I was going crazy at that point, because I said, nah, I'm not making this. I don't know this information. She's giving me information that I have no idea about. And it's really working, and most importantly, the minute she came on, she started protecting me and giving me things and the tools. Everything I know in my spirituality, I've learned it from another dimension, another source. Not one human being has taught me anything.
Wow. I think it's also quite interesting how, like you said, we all have that intuition that guides us. And then a lot of people want to kind of deny it. And it's like deep down, you
are scared of it.
When you meet someone, whether to trust them or not. Of course, if you're on a super low vibration, then you don't have that discernment and things can get confused. But that I know of, I grew up, like you said, I'm Dominican as well. And when we look at the spiritual spectrum, there are literally two totally opposite sides, and nobody has bothered to blend the two, right? So there's either brujeria or it's like religion. And the crazy thing is that I would know people that went straight up to church and then would go and go to these places where they'll do like santeria and people will get possessed, and then not even talk about it with anybody, not even like nothing. It was like occult information, right? So then when we really take a step back, we're like, hold up. So basically, all the things that we've known are quote unquote bad, that have been said by our religions that are quote unquote bad, we are doing them anyways.
Yeah.
So our discernment is really becoming more and more strong, where we're like, okay, because I remember growing up where everyone in the town in the Dominican Republic, from the little campo that I was from, knew who the witch was. They knew that there was a witch, and every town that I know of
because they all consult with the witch.
What did you say?
That's why I say Dominicans are the most hypocritical people, because they all consult with the witch.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, technically I knew a lot of people that were scared of her, but then I also spoke to people that would tell me like things that we could do to repel. And we literally would throw salt in certain places or put a broom upside down, and things would get proven. Like it would happen the way that they would say. So deep down, I'm like, okay, so we know about this dark, quote unquote, dark energy. And we know about this quote unquote energy that's good, but we don't talk about basically the balance, which everyone is doing. They're just hiding it. Everyone is going to church and also consulting the witch, like how Naomi was saying. It's very interesting how then we meet people like you who are facilitators in the spiritual community, and we have the audacity to be like, nah, that's weird that she's making it up and all this stuff, when you've already done a lot of these things. We've already done the darkness.
Yep. What would you say about tarot? A lot of people have a misconception about tarot cards and everything in that kind of realm. I know I had gotten readings when I was younger through my best friend's mom, who, you know, was into all that. And there were times where nobody knew what I was going through, like at all. And when this lady, she would read me with the shells. And when every time she did a reading on me, she only did it like 3 times, but it was like, I never went to her unless I needed to go to her. You know, like I was at a point where nobody knew anything and I needed to go to somebody, and she would always pop in my head. I'm like, I gotta go to her. So I will go to her and she would do the reading, and she would keep it between me and her. And whatever she would say to me, it was like on point to like the 20th power. It's like, nobody knows this. So for you to know this, not even my best friend, that's your son, you know what I mean? Like nobody knows this. Only, so for you to know this and for you to say what you're saying to me and delivering this message, it is way too on point for this not to be real. And they were very pivotal moments in my life. Now, I never tapped into it personally myself to do it until I got into my awakening with my gifts and my calling. And it has been, all I can say is wow, because once again, there has been things that nobody knows but me, or maybe my husband, you know what I mean? Like nobody knows. And the message that is delivered to me when I do readings on myself are beyond on point, beyond powerful, when I ask them, like, I'm ready, you know what I mean? I'm listening, I'm ready. Guide me. Like I'm always, you know what I mean? Like I'm following your lead. I'm in it. I'm not questioning you. I'm not scared anymore. But a lot of people, you know, when I break down the message that was given to me, and I even break down the symbolism of the card, it is so powerful. Like it is not spooky. It's none of that. It's beyond powerful. So Naomi, can you discuss just more about that?
So this is my thing with tarot. Tarot is very powerful, and I think it's also ran by the energy of the person that's reading it, as far as, right?
Yes.
So I'm still in the process of like learning all. So the first thing that my guide started telling me is get tarot. Before I even knew, before I was connected to her, before she came online fully, she was already telling me through Breathwork, get tarot, you're going to be good at it, you know. And she was telling me how to do it. She told me, get the original deck. And she told me that I have to learn the cards first. Understand? I never even knew how to help people read cards, how this shit works. So everything that she was telling me was really the process. When you go and, you know, figure out how it is that you have to, you know, do tarot, the first step is you have to learn those decks. You have to learn them, and in order to then intuitively receive the messages. So I think everyone can read tarot because we're all intuitive beings. It's a matter of, you have to know the definitions of the cards so that you could get that out the way so you can receive the messages. However, I think that what makes really good tarot readers is the guides that are attached to them.
Yes.
How you're getting your messages. Because there's people that just they follow their intuition, right? They're not channeling. But there are people that, so I know that when I go into doing reading cards, I'm channeling.
Yes.
Right? Which we all can channel, but some people don't get out of their own way enough to be able to channel to that degree, right? So a lot of people just feel, and then everyone's clairs is different, right? So people just feel, they have an inner knowing. So tarot is really, it is exactly what it is. And it is very guided by spirit, whether it's by the person that's getting the reading and the person itself that's doing the reading. So I've learned that if I want to get my
Oh, you cut off again.
I'm gonna go to based on what I know they fuck with.
No,
sorry, you hear me now?
Go back. You said, I forgot, what was the part we cut off?
So, sorry. So like for me, I've never been a person that really seek to get my cards read or things like that, right? But now that I'm here in the spiritual world, if I ever want like check and balances for myself and I want to get my cards read, I have very specific people that I would want to read my cards. And it's because now I know the knowing of how they're getting their messages.
Yes.
So I look at how people are getting their messages, how they're connected, and that's how I favor, who I want some type of clarification, in a reading from. So that's my take on tarot. However, I have another opposite side. I stay away from tarot, even for myself, even throwing cards for myself as much as I can, because it also gives you too much. You could become very obsessive with the idea of controlling your reality.
Yeah.
And knowing too much about your reality. And that for me is low vibrational. So I think it's a tool to be used accordingly. Absolutely. But it could be a tool like, I know people that they resort to that shit. They're obsessed with it. And it's not that it's a bad thing, but we also have free will and we also create our reality. And I think that strips you away from the creation part when you're too into it.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I mean about even when I was younger, it was only when it was like pivotal moments that I needed this.
Oh, yeah.
And those moments have now led me, you know what I mean? Like after that, I'm like, all right, I got it. Thank you. Got it. You know what I mean? Everything is solidified. Yep. I'm continuing on my journey. There was one experience though that was very different for me than the other ones, because I've only done it like less than a handful of times on myself. But there was this one morning where I was doing like a bunch of things, but normally I meditate in the mornings, but this morning I didn't get to. Now, sometimes if I don't, whenever I'm finishing, I'm like, I'll get to it when I finish doing X, Y, and Z. So I said that day, I said, I didn't get to in the morning. So I said, it's fine. I'll do it after I come back from my daughter's dance class is what I said. However, my spirit would not let me leave the house until I meditated. Like, it was just a powerful, I was like, let me just sit here for like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I have to do this. Mm-hmm. So I went, I meditate, and I had no intention of getting the cards. I had no intention, but for whatever reason, I go and I grab the cards. And I'm like, why do I have the cards on me? I wasn't trying to do a reading for myself. So I was like, well, whatever. So I just follow my spirit. That's just at this point, like it doesn't feel like it's me, if I want to say it like that to describe it. So I do the thing, but it's like I'm unconsciously doing this reading. So I do it. I get the card, I hear the message, and I'm completely confused because I'm like, I don't know what this has to do with. And what I said was afterwards was, I don't know what this is, but whatever it is, I receive it, is all I said. I receive it, I'll take it, and maybe later it'll reveal itself is what I said. So I do that. And then within that meditation, I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to expose somebody's business, but there was a vision I saw, and then there was a person's name that that came up. And that was the only thing I remembered out of the whole entire 15 minutes was those two pivotal parts. So I end up hitting up this person to ask him a question of something that I had saw in the vision. And it so happens to be that whatever message I got was actually for that person. But it was like on a whole other deep level that I would have never known what she was going through at that time. I didn't know the situation of something. And when I asked her the question, it kind of like put her hairs up like, wait, what are you asking me? You know what I mean? And then afterwards, when I told her what I saw, that's when like goosebumps all over. And then she started crying and I was crying. I didn't know what just happened. I just knew that day that I could not leave this house without doing that. And after that, like, I don't know, that was just, it's like, I wasn't looking to channel anything, but something called me to channel. And it's like, ever since then, it's like, I just been kind of confused on that part because I didn't know what to do at that point. Like I didn't know how to deliver a message. I didn't know any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Jen.
Mm-hmm.
But spirit does that. Spirit, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes.
Spirit does that. Spirit, I think, and I think when you're deep into your spiritual, I was just telling someone this, when you're deep into your spirituality, it's spirituality and conspiracy theorists go all hand in hand. It's a world linked together because there's people don't want to understand the body that they're in. So the whole entire world, they're in this human body being told how their shit works. It's like they're in a car where they bought this car and they're just listening to however the fuck they told them to power the car on and drive it. They never really sat there and read the manual on how the shit really operates. Yeah. So that's what's happening with us. So we're so identified in our human body as far as organs and how the blood functions, and if the heart stops, you got a heart attack, that we are kept away from really understanding that we're just a vessel and this whole shit is ran energetically. Yeah. Literally everything we do, we're puppets, we're being used, and I'm not saying in a bad way, but we're just energetic beings. So that experience that you're talking about and where you were just guided to do that, yeah, because we're guided to do every single thing that we do on a daily basis. Fucking crossing the street and then deciding to cross the street back the other way you came from, that's all being orchestrated around you by energy. Yes. Our consciousness, our own consciousness, if you don't go through the awakening, you attach your thoughts to your body and you're all one. When you start awakening, you start realizing that your consciousness is one thing and the body is another thing, and it's a separate thing. And you realize that this consciousness is something that's within this body. Mm-hmm. When you don't wake up, you don't really know that information. So back to what we've been speaking about, how it's so hard for people to really understand all of this. It's hard because we're being worked on a daily basis by the counterparts to keep us outside of ourselves. Yeah, there's a that sounds crazy. Like there's a true surrender I feel like I've had to do. Yeah, you have to. There's no way that you can tap into spirit without fully surrendering. You literally have to get out of your own way, period. And it comes with a huge level of trust. You have to trust. And people are fearful of trusting because there's so many listen, just like there's the good stuff, there is the bad stuff. But people don't understand. The bad stuff is already within you. Yes.
Yes. And I think also
bad stuff, you're the bad stuff.
And I think also,
and then you attract the same.
Oh, she's cutting off again. Go ahead. But I do want to say,
sorry,
from what Naomi was saying, I do want to piggyback on that, because the same way that she's saying that we're being puppeted by good, because of course the people that have been in control of this information also know us deeper than we know ourselves. Again, they give us all the physical information, but they don't give us the spiritual information, and that's done very much on purpose.
They don't give you enough, and this is why automatically this is a conspiracy theory. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Awakening is conspiracy theory to these. It's just what it is, right? Because majority of the world, if not the whole entire world, does not understand themselves for what they really are. It's so, and then think about it, you can't understand what you can't understand, right? Especially if you have no interest in understanding it. Yeah. It is so hard. But like this, you know how many people are here right now? They get here, they live their whole entire lives, they die. Not once did they ever wonder how the fuck they got here, what is after and before this shit. They just don't give a fuck. Yeah. You know how many people live like that? Majority of the world live like that.
And I do feel it's done on purpose, though, to a certain extent also, because how we were saying about the good and the bad, it's also because they know us so well. They know how to manipulate the spirit for distraction. So the same way that they put us into the lives of all these celebrities, like that's an energetic like pull, and they're using our energy to manifest. Exactly, and to manifest what our spiritual, what our spirit has the actual ability to do. And that's why I think we need to be very aware, and that's where discernment, and of course cutting off all their information, because it's down to the food, the music, the books that we have available, the history that they've taught us, the sciences, everything. So if we can cleanse ourselves from that is not ours, and go back to within ourselves and be, like you said, meditating and being in tune with ourselves, we can now discern where our energy is going and to what.
Oh yeah, there was an experience that I had in one of my sessions, where when I connected, at first I was confused because I was seeing like mad random, like just crazy images that I was like, what is going on? Like, I'm talking about like dark stuff. And I was very confused, and I started feeling like I was seeing like past lives. It was just so many things. And then afterwards, I remember as I go through this experience, at one point I said, what is all this? And where is all this coming from? And the person said, everything you've ever watched, anyone you've ever spoken to, every single thing has downloaded inside of you, whether you've experienced it or not. It has become part of you because your body couldn't tell that it wasn't happening. So every single thing since you were born, that's what that is. And I was like, so what do I do? And I remember they said, and this is like, I'm telling you, people think you're crazy when you say these things, but when I tell you, these messages are so clear, so clear. And once you get away from the fear of knowing that it's not just you bugging out, there's a really power in that. And as I'm listening, I said, so what do I do? And they said, disconnect. You're not ready for that right now. They told me that my soul was too, was because they were working on me, I was too vulnerable to things. So I could not be on social media. I could not watch TV for a certain time. Like I could not do any of these things because it was confusing basically the path that I was going on, because my soul was too vulnerable and I was receiving other people's things like 20 times more than the normal person. And I literally, like, from that moment, I remember I disconnected from everything and I was like, you got to work on me, let's work.
You know, to what it is with this whole back to what I was saying about how people think like, oh, this is like voodoo and this is like demonic. Through the work that I'm able to do with my clients, you know, what this really is, right? Let's say you experience things coming to you that feels negative, right? A lot of those things are people's traumas that are part of your soul memory. They're also karmic returns, right? People fear those things without realizing that they have to just become aware of it to release it, because light always wins, right? So we're so fearful of dark shit without realizing that a lot of the dark shit that's coming up are things that you have to release, whether it's from past lives, whether it's from, you know, your own shit, right? People just don't want to associate one with the next. And then there's people that whatever is coming to them, right? It's gonna come to them in the most positive light or whatever it is. But I also realize that those things also happen to people that have work to do with those things, right? Healers, people that have different karmic returns, karmic bonds, even their journey within this dimension, they don't have as much trauma as other people. And whether good or bad, people don't understand that you just need them to come up so that you can process it and release it.
Yes.
And that's where all of this shit is at, because people are going to forever run from what they don't know. And if it's uncomfortable, they're going to run from it. And that's why shadow work is so important.
Yes,
absolutely. I think it's been, although in the beginning it was confusing, the reason why nobody can tell me that this is demonic or this is this or this is that or all the things that they label on these kind of experiences is because I've never felt so free in my life. I've never been so sure of things in my life. I've never been so confident in certain messages. You know what I mean? Like, it's such, I don't know how to explain it.
There's levels to this.
Feeling, yeah, it's levels to it. And this is the first time ever that I really feel like I'm on my path.
Yeah. I feel like we're also, because it's like levels to this and people really don't get what that really means. But once you've done the shadow work, the messages become clear. The symbolism becomes clear. The way that people speak becomes clear. So it's like if you're in a room or like in a maze, and the more shadow work that you do and the more occult knowledge that you're aware of, the higher that you go. And so you put yourself on a level where you can see the maze and you can lead yourself. It's no longer like, oh, let me follow these directions from down here, or let me guess. It's like you put yourself on such a higher frequency, and people don't get like it's literal. You're putting yourself so high up there that you can see. So we know, like, I know all three of us know, when we speak to someone, we know where their mind is at. We know what level they've reached and how much shadow work they've done. Because you start to become accountable. You start to become more compassionate. And what do you say?
And unsee it. You start seeing it. You see everything and everybody once you start doing the work.
Exactly. You can see everything unfold. So it becomes a whole different level of awareness that if you talk about it, but you haven't done the work, the people that have done the work can tell that you haven't done it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you could tell what emotion they're identified with and what shadow. Because shadows are low vibrational emotions that you're attached to.
Yes.
That they just evolve within time. I'll tell you this, with a lot of, and I still get that. Like, I just had a girl like yesterday tell me like, oh, you do readings, and that's demonic, right? She says that what I do is demonic. And at first when I started tapping into what I do, of course, you know, because of my culture, I'm thinking like, what is this? Like, the only thing that I started thinking negatively was like, oh, what if they're just like lying? Like, what if whatever is with me, it's lying to me, right? To try to use me, right? That was my first thought. But then I had to really sit with myself, and I have to just share this because I think whoever hears this, it should take them out of their doubt. One, there's no way that what I have is demonic, right? And let's put low vibrational, right? Because in order for me to activate that, I had to raise my frequency. Out there, I had to raise my frequency. All of this was able to happen to me because I consciously returned to love. So before I even got here, I went through my own healing journey, and where I released anger, I released.
Oh, you're cutting off.
Sorry, you hear me now?
Yeah, you said you released anger.
I raised my frequency before getting here, right? So if this would have been something that happened to me at my darkest and lowest moments, I would have got scared, right? But this came to me after I healed a lot. Like, when I tell you I healed, I forgave an abundance amount of people that really, you know, really fucking hurt me, really put me through just shadow moments of my life of pain. And I, on my own, went back and I forgave all of those people. And it wasn't just forgave, I forgave and I allowed myself to connect again. I worked with those people. Those people became people that helped me push my brand. Like, when I tell you I took it back full circle, that was for me. It was a whole healing. So by the time I tapped into this, my frequency was already at a level that it wasn't prior to, you know? That's one. Two, there's no way on earth that what I do is demonic, because I've always been love. When I go into who I am as a being and as a soul, I'm really a good ass person. I'm really a great human being. I've never did anything malicious to anybody other than fucking fight somebody growing up because they were fucking with me, bro.
Yeah.
Technically, that's not malicious.
That's me, like, fucking defending myself. And then it came
from culture, yeah, where we grew up at.
Yeah, it was from a space of pain. And to add to how good I know that what's in me is so good. My heart is so good that every fight I've ever had in my life, I had to heal from it, because it shifted me in where I had to heal from that. I didn't feel good about fighting people, even if they were in all the wrong and I was defending myself. Let's start there. I've never done anything to anybody. I'm not malicious. I've never been a hater. I am a person full of Like I'm always complimenting people, and it's not even me being fake, it's genuine. That's what I do. Like that's just who I am, right? So understanding who you are and understanding your secrets and understanding you to the core allows you to really understand your spirit, right? And my spirit cannot attract evil shit. It just cannot, because I'm not that. You know, I'm not, that's not who my spirit is. I can only align with what I am. Let's continue. And when my gifts came online, what's with me, now I have to get into the work that I do. The work that I do is spearheaded by love. And sometimes I look at the people that even try to say that the work that I'm doing is demonic or whatever the fuck they want to charge it off as. And it's like, yo, there's no way that you can think that, because you don't even know the work that I do until you work with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't even know the
You cut off again.
telling, you know? Huh?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You cut off a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not fortune telling, you know, and the moments that I've had doubt about what is this, there's no way that I can doubt, because even my own lessons that I've learned through my gifts, it comes with a lot of love and it's a lot of correction, and everything is continuously returning me back to the highest frequency of love.
Yes.
And my clients can tell you the work that we do is identifying, you know, your shadows, is identifying what needs healing. You know, it's spot on what event in your life caused those things. And it's teaching you how to love. It's teaching you how to forgive. Yes. You know, it's teaching you, like, this is, I can't doubt that. I cannot say that the work that I do is demonic, because even I have clients sometimes that think that they can come to me to do work, and my guide tells them straight on, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't work. We don't control reality. We heal and we become magnets, and we raise our frequency and our vibration so that we can create the reality that we want. That is what I'm teaching people, you know? So I will go to war with anybody that would ever try to even disrespect what's with me, because that's not what we're here for. And I think it's very important for people to start understanding that every channel is different, every medium is different, every healer is different, and everybody's work is different, right? And just as there's evil, there's good. And even within the good, there's levels to that shit, period. And there's, you know, that's how I sit at peace with myself, and I sit at peace with myself with my clients as well, because I know the work that I'm doing. I know the work that I'm doing. And even in my wackest moments that I'm not feeling myself, because I'm a human too, right? I have family, I go through heartbreaking shit. To continuously see my guide bring me back to love, my guide continuously teaching me how to forgive, how to let go of things. I'm consistently operating from a high frequency because I'm consistently guided to work in that manner. Anybody else that wants to say that this shit is demonic, you got to go work on yourself, because it's not happening here. It just isn't.
No, and it's a daily work. Like, I know for me, you know, I started realizing like it's a moment by moment, minute by minute, second by second, like, because our thoughts can become so toxic that we create this reality because we're so focused on the lack of anything we want, we can have. And that's just a fact. That's it. Like, it's period. We put it out there, it can be ours. However, when we want something, we allow doubt, fear, and all these things to come into our brain. So then it becomes where we focus on what we want, but how hard it is to get it, or the lack of it. So let's say if you want a relationship, it's like, okay, you talk about, I want this, I want this, I want that. But then you're so focused on the fact that you don't have a relationship. You look at other people's and then you're like, oh, but I don't have that. So now you're putting a confusion in there, because now there's the doubt and the fear. You have to understand that what you want is yours, period. Once you allow yourself to be open to that, you know what I mean? Like you allow yourself to be in the receptive mode to receive all these things. We block our own blessings, we block our own things with our own toxic thoughts. And I feel like as I've been in my healing, the reason why there's no way that this is something that is, like we say, demonic or devilish or anything like that, or negative, is because I have been able to be in the most present moments of my life. There has been times, and it's happening so much more frequent now, as I'm going deeper into this journey, where I get these euphoric feelings like I would have thought that I just popped like a bunch of fucking shrooms and weed. I'm just saying, like, but I didn't. But I feel this, I feel all the emotions conjuring up, bringing up that good energy, that good feeling of love, of presentness, of gratitude. And it's a gratitude like on a whole nother level that I can't explain that I feel. And that allows me to stay in this moment of joy and really enjoy this experience for what it is. So I'm not walking on eggshells. I'm not walking in fear. Like, I feel so at peace in the journey that I'm in because I'm seeing everything unfold into, like you said, a higher frequency where I vibrate so higher, where I'm able to process what is happening and then process my response of how I'm going to respond, because I'm so aware that my response will do a lot within my emotions, and your emotions are energy emotions. And they're signals to us. And if we take those signals like we're supposed to, life can be way more smoother than we make it.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that too, because I want to be so honest and say that most of the people, by their lifestyle, you can tell, I don't want to say judge people just by their lifestyle, but you can tell who's connected and who's not. Like when you go to all these brujeria places, these people be broke. They're broke trying to tell you what type of rituals to do to get money. And it's not about the money, like it's not about that, but it's about how does this person have a flow in their life? Because when we really reflect right now, we're having a rush of spiritualists that are in full transparency. So some people take that as in like, oh, this person's having a bad day, they can't be that good. But it's like, life is all about the ebbs and flows. So if we don't know how to manage our emotions through the ebbs and flows, how can we really trust these people? You know what I mean? If you know someone that's always just in a bad funk, but they're spiritualists, how can you advise me or guide me into this life of natural flow if that's not how your life is going? So also being very aware of like the people that are coming to you for advice or that have like something to say is always, always, always a reflection within. Like go deep inside yourself and really feel the energy of this person. Is this person's energy flowing, or is it stuck somewhere where they think they know everything, but they don't really know everything? And I think that's where someone like Naomi comes, where you can see the transparency in her, where she's able to tell you like, yo, I'm a human being too, and I experience all these things, but her life reflects on the levels that she's gained. Yes. You could tell. So I think that's so important because we always forget that and we want to go to these people for advice, but we have to have our discernment very, very present for that. It's crazy.
So I think that you even adding to what you're saying, it might not be directly correlated. Navigating this world, you gotta like toughen up to navigate it, right? Because I'm only scratching the surface of what I do, of what I see, of the capacities, right? That I've been able to unlock. Like I've told you, I've seen past lives, things like that. I'm also able to give people the experience. Like I could do past life regression. Like I can guide people through a whole experience and you can see a past life. I can guide people through an experience and I can connect you to a loved one directly. I could literally give you a session in where either I could channel that person for you, or I can just literally like put you in a breathwork situation. And if your mom passed, like I could put you to commune with your mom, right? Things of that nature. But that's because that's what my guide is able to do, right? To add to this, right? This is why I know that conspiracy theory and spirituality and awakening is all together, right? I was contacted by the Galactic Confederation of Light.
Wow.
When they came to me, and I've had vivid conversations with Pleiadians. So I come from the Pleiadian society. So now let's forget there's levels, right, to all of this,
yes,
right?
Levels.
So there is Ancestry, which was with you. So my guide that's with me, she's multidimensional like me, but within this, because it's so many dimensions and parallels and all things together. She's also been able to live a human life, right? So let's go into what she is, right? So she's ancient knowledge on a more galactic, on a more cosmic level, right? But which is what the essence of our spirit is. We're a team, right? So I'm that essence of that spirit as well, right?
Yeah.
However, now let's bring it to this dimension, like fifth, sixth dimension here, earth ancestry kind of thing, right? She lived a life here. She was a slave. She was a slave. She was, when she was alive, she was a healer. She was an herbalist. A lot of the reason why she's an herbalist now, I'm able to do these things with my clients is because when she was alive, she was an herbalist, right? And I get her from my father's lineage. So my
Wow. Naomi.
grandmadama.
Hold on, repeat it, Naomi.
All right. So my guide, right? Because so now let's bring it back to culture, right? Culture, ancestry. She's a madama, right? She's a madama. I get that from my father's lineage. My grandmother is a madama. So my grandmother has her own madama. So, and my grandfather is a direct channel. So he used to channel somebody that he used to call el compadre. And my grandfather was a healer. So I get all these things from my father's lineage, right? This is what my guide is. She's a herbalist. She's a healer. When she was alive, she was kind of like a mammy. She was a mammy. She was the healer of the community, the healer of the people. In her story in particular, when she was alive, there was a lot of famine going on. So she felt like she didn't really use her magic, her power as much. And I was on the other side of the veil, and she admits that she didn't really listen to me as much. She didn't want to believe that she was that powerful or that, because she was living in a state of scarcity in her lifetime, right? So what she was doing was feeding people, feeding them food. So she didn't really feel like she was doing much until she transitioned and she realized all that she really did. So it goes into that. Now, channeling, let's go into the spirit of what we are, right? On a more galactic level. I come from a Pleiadian society, the Pleiadian world. So there's different species out there, right? There's the Arcturians, there's the Pleiadians. So understand that I didn't even know all of this. I now know more because I had to go research it after they came to me, right? So the Galactic Confederation came to me, they contacted me. And when they first came to me, the first thing they told me was, like, we're with you, and that you earned this. Like I earned them. And I didn't understand like how, why. It was cool, it was dope, fine. I was able to see their world, like how their world looks. And I'm gonna explain to you how it looks. They are an advanced society. So what they do in their spare time is they work on technology and society advancement. So they have a lot of technology, and they're healers. They're very emotionally, they're a super emotionally intelligent civilization. They're blue. The way their realm looks, see it like Avatar. So you see how Avatar is very like, they have a lot of trees. So their realm, it's literally like these trees that are like connected to the land, to but it's like they're levitated. So it's like these little realms of trees. Let's say, see it as like Mario, the game Mario, how there's little clouds and there'll be like little trees on these clouds.
Yes.
That kind of look, but it's very blue. It's very cloudy. And their ships, their stations, they look like ovals. So they're like, think about like an egg, but like a metal egg. And this is, so now on that level, that's where my soul comes from. That's where I came from. So we all come from all of these different civilizations, and Earth is really a school. So then understand that I'm learning this shit from spirit. Like I'm not even reading this, right? So when they first come to me and they tell me, oh, the Galactic Confederation of Light, I'm like, what the hell? Oh my God. It's a real thing. Like, okay, this really exists. Okay, so I was really, like, I'm like, okay, like, that's great. Oh, what do you guys do? And I went into a rabbit hole of like learning what they were. And at that point, I started reaching out to people that I knew that they were advanced in their spirituality. And I brought it up. I said, do you know about the Galactic Confederation of Light? And then I got a huge amount, not a huge, like a good amount that were like, yeah, I was like two of them were like, yeah, I was contacted by them. And then the rest just knew about it. And then I'm like, oh shit, this shit's crazy, Yeah. And then after I had that clarity, then I started learning about my Pleiadian, I'm a starseed. And I come from, which if you go into what Pleiadians are, they're emotionally intelligent souls. They come here to further evolve, but most importantly, they come here to help humanity. That's what they do. And they work on advanced, and they have a super advanced technology. They also taught me about that the Earth has a grid system, literally where it's a whole entire grid system, and they manipulate the grid. They explained that to me, how they manipulate the grid. And as we awaken, see it as like lights turning on, light bulbs turning on. And their goal is to have the whole grid light up. I learned that from channeling them, literally them coming to me, and then I went into researching these things and knowing and realizing that they were true. So what solidifies me in my journey and really stamping my shit, and I don't even talk enough. Notice how I don't talk about none of these things because I'm still in a very premature stage of, once I discovered what I do, I went straight into work, right? And I also understand that in the community that I was designed to work in, too much information can also steer them away. So yes. I also stray away from even saying that I tapped into my gifts through breathwork, because automatically that puts people in a frenzy where they're like, oh, you see, that's brujeria, without them realizing that, no, just because that happened to me does not mean that that's going to happen to you. Like that was just the tool, because like I said, when your guides start revealing themselves to you, they try to do it in the most comfortable way possible to not put fear into you so that you can navigate this and wake up little by little by little. They just chose breath work for me because it is a clear way to connect to, your higher self and all that good stuff. But for me, that's what they chose. You know what I'm saying? Everybody awakens differently. Absolutely. So I even stray away from speaking too much on that. I haven't even spoken about, this is the first time that I publicly literally speak about my Galactic Confederation, my knowing of me being a Pleiadian, because that's a lot. And it's not that it's a lot, it's okay for people that know it, but for the community that I'm catering.
You cut off.
So all the way down to what I am. I'm this Dominican girl from the Bronx that partied, that drank, that did drugs, that did all these things with all these people that now are seeing me elevate to this degree. And all of this already is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Even just the changes alone that you've experienced in your life is a lot for people, because a lot of people don't realize, but we, especially us in the Dominican culture, we don't like change. We are very much like into being at a single tone. And when we see people, because I was the party girl also, and when I became a mother, that people saw the type of mother I became, they were in denial. They couldn't believe it.
Oh my
God. So I know.
I feel like people doubted me.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like they're like, oh, esta loquita, ¿qué es lo que ella va a hacer? What can this girl?
I'm the loquita and proud. I've never been so proud to be crazy ever.
Listen, once you get to that point, you're like, listen, I'll be crazy all day compared to y'all.
Fact.
If that's what y'all want to consider it, call me crazy. Then that's what
and listen, I know like a lot of what my guides want me to do is to get a podcast. They want me to start talking on these things. And I'm just like, wait, little by little, because understand that it hasn't even been a full year since my gifts came online. And they came online and I went straight to work, because I'm here to serve humanity. And I really enjoy what I do, but it's like, dude, it hasn't even been a year, and not that I need time. Like I know I level up almost every day. It's a process. This shit is, and it's not all light. It's not like every day I'm like happy to be here. Well, I'm always happy to be here. I can never say that, but it's not like it's not like like because I'm a channel. There's so much. I feel energy. I come around people and I pick up whatever the fuck they're battling. So it's been a process of me mastering my energy, right? And not necessarily having to fear what I do, but just I fear everything outside of me.
Right.
Right? Like, fuck, if I'm home alone chilling, I'm ecstatic, right? Because I'm within me, I'm within my energy. I trust. When I've had doubts, the first thing that comes into my mind is, bitch, don't start doubting now. You've been living like this your whole entire life. You know now. You just know now. What do you feel? What is there to fear now? You can't possibly fear now what's already been with you your entire life. And then I go into how things have played out for me. Like, yeah, okay, it makes perfect sense. Why would I start now? Because I know more. So this takes a lot of discernment, a lot of mental control. And for me, I navigate this shit by myself, but I think I operate from a space of like,
oh, you cut off again.
And I understand, and I see No, I said that I think I operate from a space of I just understand the assignment, you know?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think I surrendered to the assignment.
That took me
And
a
I just fully
while.
understand why I'm here. Yeah. And it's so like, even with my own mom, like my mom does not want to even understand what I do. And I'm already in a space of, dude, you're only going to understand what I do when you need to work with me. And when you work with me, you're just going to know. And
Yes.
if you're not meant to work with me, I'm not interested in convincing you of anything. You know, we're
Yeah.
going through the greatest awakening. I'm not the only person that's activated. There are so many civilizations, galaxies that are here, multidimensional beings that are really activated, and they're working through people just like me, and they're here to help the great awakening. And some people just don't want to understand that because they also just want to understand spirituality from their culture perspective. So for me, I have to continuously remind myself, like, yeah, I'm Dominican, yeah, I'm from the Bronx, but I'm not that. I'm not that because even what I have is not that.
So tell
And
everybody also like exactly what services you offer like in this journey of healing in your community. And I mean all over, you know, but I'm just saying like there's a lot of community healing that you're doing that I think is really important.
okay, so I do a lot of things at this point.
She's like, I've added to the list.
Because it happened so like fast. So I do, the main thing I do is breath work, right? I facilitate breath work sessions in where, you know, I help people release stagnant energy. Breath work is something that we all can do. It's just literally I teach you how to breathe in a very powerful form, and your body does what it needs to do. We don't realize that a lot of what we are is energy, and we have the physical body on top of it. So the physical elements that we feel, they're already manifested in the energetic body, and everything is connected to stagnancy, to your seven chakras, and to emotions. We have a lot of stagnant emotions and situations that are already buried in our subconscious mind that we don't realize it's what's making us sick. So I'll give you a story of one client. She had a huge tumor from like right under her breast all the way down to below, like almost her pelvic area. And she went into doing breath work with me. She did a like I think a 3 session package. And she did she do a package? No. She did a few breathwork sessions with me. The point is she used breathwork to, she was going to go into surgery to minimize the tumor. By the time she went into surgery, that tumor was, so they only had to cut her from, she told me, her pelvic area up to like her belly button.
Oh, wow.
Because that's how small it got. Okay. So at a very simple core, I facilitate breathwork sessions for just healing that has nothing, let's delete spirituality, right? Because people want to associate everything to spirituality. No, healing that your body is designed to do. Just like plants go through the photosynthesis process and they auto heal themselves, we are designed to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also do readings, right? In my readings are, I call them clarity readings. Because I'm a channel, I'm able to have readings of that type. And specifically back to what I say that my guide is here to do, we're here to help raise consciousness. So the readings that I do, you know, they talk about past, present, future, but most importantly, it talks about, you know, it gives you clarity on what you're going through, where your holds are at, the people, places, and things around you that are adding to, you know, whatever it is that you're feeling, and kind of giving you the solution to, you know, how to solve that, how to get out of that. And most importantly, just bringing awareness and connecting things to you that you probably don't even realize, like, hey, this happened when you were 7, and this is the pattern that you've created through your lifetime. Hence now this situation here, hence the job that you have. So I do readings. I also do energy clearances, which is deep shadow work. I embark people on a 7-week journey. The first 5 weeks is they're channeled sessions, and where we get to the core of, you know, your shadow work. Work is deep inner child work. Some things people are born with, they get it directly from their parents, because they're back on a karmic loop in that manner, and that's what they're here to heal. I'm able to identify if it's past life things, when it happened, when it started. Usually it happens at a young age, so we can identify the event, at what age, what happened, and just kind of how that energy, you know, because your shadow is a suppressed emotion, and what happens is that throughout your lifetime you feed it. Yes. Right, and everything is energy, so see it as a separate entity. So it's essentially it's an entity, and what it does is that it overpowers your mind, and now you start identifying with that energy. So let's say, for example, I've seen shadows that they place the host in the need to consistently control. So this person is consistently controlling. It affects their relationships. They're very controlling in with their partners at work. And the shadow creates this level of anxiety in their life, right? Where they're living under, they feel like they have to crush and control everything. That's one. I've seen people that their shadows keep them in the space of not speaking at all, and where their throat chakra is completely blocked. And that incident started because when from a very young age, their mom suppressed them from speaking, and they were unable to speak their truths, and they came from a hostile home and where the stepfather beat the mom, and all these things really come up in these energy clearances, because that's what my guide is here to do. That's what she does. And the process, the 7-week process comes with baths. It comes with a lot of journaling, and it also involves breath work. People start seeing the effects from the first 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks is integration. So I'm not channeling, and I'm coaching you through that process. And it's literally now that you're no longer identified with your shadow and whatever this hold has.
Yes.
Of what you truly are. And it's integration. It's now how to be that person, how to live in that energy, and how to continue to foster it. And that's 7 weeks. What else do I do? Within my readings, I also have readings where I connect people to loved ones. I don't do that as much because people, back to the community that I'm in, they're fearful of it. Yeah. But what happens is that even in readings, because I'm just a nice person, things come up, like a loved one really comes up and they really want to speak, and I honor them like a quick segment, and people, they have closure and from speaking to a loved one. I also realize that in my energy clearances, my guide honors people towards the end, like 5th, 6th week. She starts allowing you to understand like your spiritual lineage. So what I've noticed a lot with all of my clients is kind of like a gift, for the client, is literally just showing them like what their guides are. And that has been to me one of the most interesting things that I do, because I've been able to see what's with people. And it's not a star seed reading. I think that's something that I'm gonna get into. But I told you, they give me things in pieces. But where we're at is at understanding what's with you. So some people have gypsies, some people have, one of the coolest things I've seen people have is, I worked with a client she's a Chicana, she's Mexican, and her guides are Aztecs. Wow. And they came up and it was beautiful. Like it was, we're having, this is a channeled session. They come up, and what she has three of them, and they look like Indians. They were tall, and they're like night harvesters. I've seen people have day workers, like day harvesters. So see them as like Indians, and there's like night workers, and then there's day workers. And people really have these things as guides. And I've seen them, a whole family have, like the girl that had the Aztecs, her whole family has that. Wow. That's the guides that are with them. I've seen people have gypsies, the whole family has gypsies. I've seen people have really, really strong, powerful shit. Like just the other day, one of my clients, she has something that my guide called it the giant one. And her story was very interesting. She had like a near-death experience, and she came back to life. And in a session with her, we were able to clear up to her that she did, like she really died, and her guide, because what she remembers is like this really tall guy bringing her back to shore. She drowned. Oh, wow. And through the session, we were able to clear up that no, this really tall guy is your guide, and it's a giant. It's like a very, and her guide is interdimensional. It's not even like one of those. It's more like galactic. So that for me has been one of.
You broke up again.
Information junkie. You hear me?
No, go again.
Yeah, I'm an information junkie. So the fact that I'm learning so much, and then when I go and research and realize that these things are a real thing, is super dope. And then I've been able to guide people into tapping into their mediumistic skills by referring them and working closely with my friend Candace. So that's what she does. She guides people into tapping into their mediumistic gifts. So we've been working in conjunction, and where I clear people, because you kind of need a clearance. So this girl that I'm telling you, I worked with her first, and where I cleared her, and her shadow was very identified in her throat. She wouldn't be able to speak her truth. She's been doing this her whole entire life. So after I cleared her, she tapped into her mediumistic skills. And I remember that when the finale of our clearance, her guides came up and, you know, they were telling me it's 3 men and these are the Aztecs. And now she became a medium, and I had to, because I work with her medium teacher, I had a check and balance class with her, and she channeled the same guys that I told her she had.
Wow.
Wow.
So then she's channeling, and I'm talking to her guide, and as you know, because I'm there to help evaluate her for my friend. He comes on and he tells me his name. His name is Ifufu, because at that point she already knew his name. Very tribal, Ifufu, some shit like that. And you know, I'm asking him questions, and I'm like, okay, so are you her gatekeeper? And I'm like, and he gave me what I already knew. He was like, yeah, it's 3 of us, but I'm the speak, like I'm the host, I'm the one that speaks. Mm-hmm. And I was that was a full circle moment for me as a medium in the work that I do fully, because it was just like, oh, hey, like I already know you. Like, oh yeah, of course it's 3. I already told her. Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you that time, by the way. You know?
Wow.
It's like
so that's all of what I've been doing, girl.
I love it. And I appreciate this conversation. And I think many people will, because these are conversations that a lot of people don't have, because they're either embarrassed to share these type of journeys that they have, or these type of things that are happening, because, you know, you live in a society where there's a lot of judgment, a lot of preconceived notions on what this is really about. But what I am finding is that there are people that were probably so close-minded, but they knew there was something inside of them. And when they hear these type of conversations, it just opens up that confidence and that feeling of like, okay, you know what, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe this is something, you know, maybe what I believed in this whole time in my religion, maybe this is why I questioned it so much. So, you know, people like you, I really, really appreciate the work that you're doing. I'm at a point where in my journey, there's been so much internal work, and it was crazy because I feel like prior to it, I was helping so many people unconsciously, not realizing it. And I've done that my whole life. And then it's as if they kind of paused me on that and were like, wait a minute, come back. Let's reel this back in real quick, because now I want to show you how to really do this. So because of that, it's like, I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'll start my journey soon of helping other people. But there's been a lot of like so much internal work that I'm just excited to when I get the chance to actually guide other people. Because we all need this. We're all in need of this. And I know so many people that I know personally that call to me for that. And I've kind of shut down, and not in a bad way. It's like, yo, when I come back to all this, I'm coming back in a state of full awareness where I know how to do this. I'm not doing this unconsciously like I did in my whole life, you know? So I just want to thank you for sharing your experiences, for being transparent, and for just being a voice for people, because that's exactly what you are right now. You're a voice for the voiceless right now that don't know how to express this experience that's kind of confusing to our culture.
Yeah, I really appreciate you, Naomi, because it takes and I know you know, but just for the people out there to understand, it takes a lot to be this transparent and open, especially knowing the type of crowd that has surrounded us our whole lives. Like, we're all from basically almost the same type of environment. And when we reflect on all these things, we realize that people have been living, knowing all these things, witnessing all these things, and not having anybody to really talk about it without getting the insane look, or like, that's weird, or that's devilish, or that's, you know, not okay, you know? So being able to talk to you today and have 3 examples of people that are experiencing something very similar, obviously in different levels as well, people are going to understand, and they're going to now resonate. All of this is going to start making sense. And the more people that we can awaken, like you said, lighting up the grid, the more that we have control as a people as to what's happening. Because the quote unquote people that are in control already lost. And that's what we need to understand as a people. So this fear,
they already lost. That's why they manipulate reality, and that's why we're worked on. That's why chemtrails is a real thing. all these birds and insects that are programmed, that are really AIs, that they're mechanical little fucking, I don't know if you've caught information on that.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
All that stuff, they're working on it. People don't realize that World War III started a long time ago.
Yes.
It's been spiritual and it's been energetic, but because we can't see it, has been the easiest war for them to maneuver, because it's all spiritual. And then what's spiritual to people?
Yeah.
And it's not that God doesn't exist, because one of the greatest things that I've learned through this process, and I've always known since I landed, that God is real, that there's a higher source. There has to be. There's no freaking way that there can't be, right? And what I've solidified in this journey here is God is so real. And I've learned that through, people that have transitioned, that come back. I've channeled my grandfather. I told you he was a channeler himself. He passed. And the first thing he said when he came on is, "Mommy, God is real, mommy." Mommy, God is real. It's a real thing. And it's just, we all are believing in the same thing, but the story has been manipulated so well right under our noses that it discredits us from understanding that God is everything, is within us, it's around us, it's a force, it's a source, it's an energy, it's a frequency, and it's just duality. It's so much, right? It's just the umbrella, and it's hard for people to understand that. So this is all purposely done, and I think that what I would like to leave people with is, this information is already there. This world is already there. I wasn't a person that seeked this, period. I didn't. There's people that want to be mediums. There's people that want to tap in. I never even cared to tap in. It just happened. So there's no way on earth that anyone in a religion is going to tell me that God is going to punish me. For what? What the fuck did I do? I was minding my business,
I didn't even look for this.
I didn't even look for this. I didn't even know who the hell I was, now I know. I know what I came here for, and I'm actually helping people. And there's no way on earth that you're going to tell me that whatever I'm doing is punishable. It doesn't even make sense on a frequency level, on an intentional level, on just what's happening.
Absolutely not. So that's all the time we have. But if you want to tap in with Naomi, and just start your healing journey wherever you are at, I will definitely put all her information down in the podcast info for you guys. Thank you, Naomi, for joining us. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mommy Mondays, and we will be back next week. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.